Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video we will be looking at the role of the father, which you need to know for AQA A-level psychology in the subtopic of attachment. I hope you enjoy this video and find it helpful. Let's get started. Schaefer and Emerson, 1964, found that in only 3% of cases of infant caregiver attachments, the father became the first primary attachment figure, with the majority of infants becoming attached to their mothers first as a primary attachment figure by 7 months old. In 27% of cases, the father was the joint first attachment figure with the mother. By 18 months old, 75% of infants had formed an attachment with their fathers, determined by the fact that the babies protested when their father walked away. This suggests that the father's role is important in an infant's development and attachment behavior and formation. However, it is unlikely that the father will become the infant's first attachment figure compared to mothers, with Schaefer and Emerson suggesting that this was because they spent less time with their infants. Field, 1978, filmed 4-month-old infants in face-to-face interactions with primary attachment caregiver mothers, secondary attachment caregiver fathers and primary attachment caregiver fathers. Primary attachment caregiver fathers, like primary attachment caregiver mothers, spent more time smiling, imitating, and holding their infants than the secondary attachment caregiver fathers. This suggests that fathers have the potential to be the more emotionally focused primary attachment figure and adopt more maternal roles, being able to provide the responsiveness required for a close emotional attachment, but only express this when given the role as a primary attachment caregiver. Lamb, 1987, found that infants only preferred to interact with their fathers when in a positive state themselves and when they wanted to be stimulated. Mothers were sought primarily for comfort when distressed. This suggests that fathers are preferred as a playmate while mothers provide emotional support. However, Lamb also found that fathers who became the main care provider were able to adapt quickly to develop a greater sensitivity to the child's needs. This suggests sensitivity and responsiveness to the child isn't a biological ability limited to women, and the father's role may be due to environmental factors. Geiger, 1996, found that fathers had a different role from the mothers. The mothers were more associated with care and nurture to their infant, and the fathers were more associated with fun and play with their infant. This suggests that fathers are seen as exciting playmates, usually forming secondary attachments with their infant, whereas mothers tend to be more conventional, forming a primary attachment with their infant. Grossman et al., 2002, carried out a longitudinal study where infants' attachments were studied until they were in their late teens. The researchers looked at both parents' behavior and its relationship to the quality of their infants' later attachments to people. They found that the quality of the infant's attachment with the mother was related to the infant's attachments in adolescence but not their father's. However, they did find that the father fulfilled a qualitatively different role from that of the mother, of play and stimulation rather than emotional support. This suggests that mothers and fathers fulfill very different roles in relationship to the infant's well-being. Whilst the mother's role was found to be more important to the infant's development of relationships later in life, the father's role was found to be more important in relation to the infant's ability to play with others. However, both these roles are just as crucial in the infant's well-being development. Paquette, 2004, found the father's role tended to encourage toddlers to take more risks during physical play than mothers, while also structuring talk around active play. Mothers were found to structure their talk around emotional support, mainly to soothe and reassure the infant. This suggests that fathers are one of many attachment figures that the infant has and more of a playmate than a caregiver. McCallum and Golombok, 2004, consistently found that children growing up in single-mother and lesbian parent families did not develop differently from children in two-parent heterosexual families. This suggests that infants with same-sex parents can still develop healthily both physically and mentally without a father figure, and suggests that fathers may not play such a distinctive role in an infant's development. Verissimo, 2011, examined the relationship between children and their parents and their later popularity in nurseries. He found that the quality of the relationship between the father and the toddler was significantly correlated with the number of friends they had at preschool, and this was more important than the attachment between mother and infant. This suggests that the father's role may encourage social skills and connections through them being a playmate themselves. There are several strengths and limitations of research into the role of the father. A strength of research into the role of the father is that it can be used to help and offer advice to parents. Parents and prospective parents sometimes agonize over decisions, for instance, who should take on the primary caregiver role. For some, this can even mean worrying about whether to have children at all. Mothers may feel pressured to stay at home because of stereotypical views of mother and father roles. Equally, fathers may be pressured to focus on work rather than parenting. In some families, this may not be economically the best solution. Research into the role of the father can be used to offer reassuring advice to parents. For example, heterosexual parents can be informed that fathers are quite capable of becoming primary attachment figures. Also, lesbian parents and single mother families can be informed that not having a father around does not affect the child's development. This means that parental anxiety about the role of the father in an infant's life can be reduced. This is a strength because it suggests that research into the father's role serves as a valuable resource, offering practical advice and reassurance to parents navigating decisions about caregiving responsibilities. By dispelling stereotypes and providing evidence that fathers are capable of forming strong attachments and that children can thrive in diverse family structures, parental anxieties surrounding caregiving roles, particularly the father's role, can be alleviated. A strength of research into the role of the father is that it has practical applications. The changing roles of caregivers can lead to significant societal implications, affecting policies like paternity and maternity leave. This transformation may result in a push for more equality in custody arrangements, allowing men to have a more prominent role in caregiving responsibilities. Young men may be encouraged to model parental skills, fostering a more inclusive approach to parenting roles. Overall, these changes can contribute to greater societal acceptance of single fathers, reshaping traditional norms around caregiving and family dynamics. This is a strength because it suggests that research into the father's role has practical implications by influencing societal norms and policies related to caregiving responsibilities. The evolving roles of caregivers can lead to significant societal changes, potentially promoting more equality in custody arrangements and encouraging men to take on more active caregiving roles. This shift can contribute to reshaping traditional norms and fostering a more inclusive approach to parenting, ultimately enhancing societal acceptance of diverse family structures. A limitation of research into the role of the father is that it primarily focuses on single mothers from poor backgrounds. The higher levels of aggression and poor academic performance could be argued to be down to social economic standing and not the absence of the father, which leads to more problematic behaviors. This is a limitation because it suggests that the emphasis on single mothers from impoverished backgrounds in fatherhood research may obscure the impact of socioeconomic status on children's behavior. It highlights the need to consider economic factors alongside the absence of fathers when examining problematic behaviors in children. A limitation of research into the role of the father is that the majority of research is based on correlational data. This means that a cause and effect relationship cannot be established between the father's relationship or lack of and problematic behavior observed in children. There may be other confounding variables that affect their development, such as being bullied due to not having a father figure rather than the lack of relationship itself. This is a limitation because it suggests that the reliance on correlational data in research on fathers' roles makes it difficult to definitively establish a cause and effect relationship between the father's involvement and the behavioral challenges seen in children. External factors like bullying due to the absence of a father figure can complicate the interpretation of the impact of the father's role on children's behavior. A limitation of research into the role of the father is that there are major inconsistencies as to whether the father plays a distinct role in an infant's development. There is such a wide breadth of research investigating the role of the father, with different studies finding different results and drawing different conclusions. This means that there is no consistency within the role of the father research. This is a limitation because it suggests that the lack of consistency in research findings regarding the father's impact on infant development creates uncertainty and conflicting interpretations within the field of fatherhood research. The multitude of studies with divergent results contributes to the challenge of establishing a clear and definitive understanding of the father's role in infant development. A limitation of research into the role of the father is lack of clarity over the question being asked. The question, "What is the role of the father?" in the context of attachment is much more complicated than it sounds. Some researchers attempting to answer this question actually want to understand the role of fathers as secondary attachment figures. But others are more concerned with fathers as a primary attachment figure. The former have tended to see fathers as behaving differently from mothers and having a distinct role. The latter have found that fathers can take on a maternal role. This makes it difficult to offer a simple answer to the role of the father, as it really depends on what specific role is being discussed. This is a limitation because it suggests that the ambiguity surrounding the definition of the father's role in attachment research hinders a clear understanding of fathers' contributions to attachment dynamics. The diverse perspectives on whether fathers serve as secondary or primary attachment figures create challenges in defining and interpreting the distinct roles fathers play in children's attachment relationships. A limitation of research into the role of the father is that it is subjective and biased. Preconceptions about how fathers do or should behave can be created by stereotypical accounts and images of parenting roles and behavior, for example those used in advertising. These stereotypes, e.g. fathers are not primary caregivers, fathers are stricter, etc., may cause unintentional observer bias whereby observers see what they expect to see rather than recording the behaviors of fathers objectively. Further to this, much of the research into the role of the father is based on the assumption that infants have two opposite-sex parents, heteronormative bias. This is of course not always the case. There is no suggestion from respectable psychologists that having a single parent, or two same-sex parents, has any negative impact on children's development. This is a limitation because it suggests that biases and stereotypes surrounding fathers' roles can impact the objectivity of research findings, leading to observer bias and potentially excluding diverse family structures from the study of parenting roles. The assumption of a traditional family model in research may overlook the positive impacts of various family compositions on children's development, highlighting the need for a more inclusive and unbiased approach to studying fatherhood and parenting roles. A limitation of research into the role of the father is that there are cultural differences in the father's role. Until very recently, men were expected to be breadwinners and not directly involved in their children's care. However, this might be a stereotypical view rather than reflect reality, as fathers might not have been directly involved in day-to-day care. Still, they were involved in factors like play, instruction, and guidance. In modern families, fathers are less likely to engage in physical play in middle-class Indian families. This is a limitation because it suggests that cultural expectations and norms significantly influence how the role of fathers is perceived and enacted within different societies. The historical division of labor where men were primarily seen as breadwinners has shaped traditional views on paternal involvement in childcare. However, the evolving dynamics in modern families, such as in middle-class Indian households, highlight that fathers' roles encompass various forms of engagement beyond just day-to-day care, emphasizing the need to consider cultural contexts when studying fatherhood and caregiving roles. A limitation of research into the role of the father is that there is research to suggest that men are not biologically equipped to be an infant's primary caregiver. Heerman et al., 1994, found that men seem to lack the emotional sensitivity to infant cues that women offer spontaneously. This could be due to the fact that women produce a hormone, estrogen, which increases emotional response to others' needs. This is a limitation because it suggests that biological differences between men and women, such as hormonal factors like estrogen, may influence emotional sensitivity to infant cues and potentially impact their roles as primary caregivers. The research findings by Heerman et al., 1994, point to a potential biological basis for the observed variations in responsiveness to infants' needs between genders. A limitation of research into the role of the father is that research has found that the age and gender of the child can affect the attachment formed. Freeman et al., 2010, found that male children are more likely to prefer their father as an attachment figure than female children. He also found that children are more likely to be attached to their fathers during their late childhood to early adolescence. This is a limitation because it suggests that the age and gender of the child plays a crucial role in determining the attachment dynamics with fathers. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more content like this. Bye.